Hey everybody, welcome back to another movie review. This is the one of the last ones we're gonna be doing. I have this one and then two more reviews to do, and then we'll be wrapped up with 2020. Pretty much when we hit New Year's Eve, that will be the last time I do a movie review, and then New Year's Day I will be doing my top 10 list and all that stuff, and giving you guys my overall thoughts about 2020 in general about film. But we are pushing forward with these last reviews and I'm very excited to talk about this particular film, and that is the film His House. And His House, just to set up the premise, is about two refugees who flee with their daughter Naga, I think that's how you say the name, from South Sudan, and they eventually are put into a holding booth of some sorts where they are then given the chance to adjust to a new life in an English town. And they eventually get settled in, and needless to say, there is an evil, a spirits of some sorts that are lurking around the house. They're in the walls. They pop out in certain areas, and if that sounds cliche, believe me when I say that there's more to the story than how it sounds, because I was concerned for a few moments that this was going to be a cliched filled movie, and in some respects it feels that way, but I am very happy to say that there is a lot more to this film than just jump scares. There is an extremely meaningful story here, and I am um, quite happy with how the film represented this particular story. I won't spoil what it is, but I was very pleased with the results that came with it. And also, as a horror film, I must say that this was genuinely terrifying. I was pretty scared watching the film because the jump scares are timed perfectly. I mean, it's apparent when you watch a horror film, there's going to be jump scares or there's going to be building of suspense. It is timed extremely well. I mean, it's not your typical, because you can in horror films nowadays you can kind of predict when the jump scares are going to happen. Typically, it's like in a darker setting or if they're walking around a corner, and the film does that, but they find the perfect moments just to deliver the scare at the right time for you to just be caught off guard. And most, if not all of them, genuinely got to me. And the feel of the film as well was extremely, in weird ways, haunting, but yet um, like kind of like an opening. I don't know how to describe it, like an opening of a door sort of feeling. And it's way more justified once we reach the ending, with that particular feeling that I had. Um, and the other thing that I have to say, which I was kind of alluding to earlier with a meaningful story that they have here, is that the hints that I will say about the story, because I really don't want to give away the story, but all I'll say is that there's an extremely well presented look of guilt and trauma here. But I know when I say that, there's an automatic, oh, I know exactly what the story is going to be about. It's not in ways that you expect, and not in ways that are like, oh, it's plays to the horror effect or plays this and that. It doesn't play to the spiritual ideals or the creatures or the monsters that lurk in the house. It plays to these characters, and it plays to their development in them in general, because the characterization also is extremely well fleshed out. Um, Almost always, the film presents something deeply interesting about the husband and the wife, and it never feels overplayed or feels like information that we come to expect, but very, very powerful, and above all else, real. Because the other thing that I found really fascinating about the film, that I found to be very well handled, was its depictions of refugees and the struggle that they have to go through, and a lot about how far they go to wanting to escape this life and wanting to be a part of normal society, or at least feel like they're accepted, what the lengths they have to go to getting to that place. And I think that that is portrayed so wonderfully here. And all of it, mind you, comes from the director, who I had just learned this is his directorial debut. This is Remy Wekis, I think that's how you say his name. What a remarkable directorial debut. I mean, in terms of a directorial effort, if we're just saying debuts, I mean, this is easily the best directorial debut I've seen all year. It is stunningly directed. It never feels like it's trying to play for a typical narrative structure. The entire time you are guessing, you're questioning in ways that never feels like you're reaching. It always feels like you are invited into something and you're just getting hints to the details and enough to satisfy you with meaningful questions that will hopefully lead to meaningful answers. Pretty much leaves it too much to a very ambiguous um, end result. And throughout the film as well, in terms of it hands certain information, and all of that comes from Remy Wakis. And the other part of Remy Wakis, hope I said his name right, that I also found quite good was the screenplay. I found the screenplay to deliver some meaningful purposes and surprisingly some emotional heft that I did not come to expect. As I said, these two particular characters have such rich background that the film presents so well that you become emotionally drawn to these characters and you understand their pain. One of the commonality between the couple, the husband and the wife, is the sense of hiding within and not accepting what's happened. And in a way, that is what the film is about. But again, the beauty of the film is that that is a way to view the film, not the way to view the film. Um, and I love that form of storytelling, and I love when it's justified, and satisfying, not something that just feels like it's being played up for effect. It never felt like it was being played up for effect here. It always felt like it was playing towards narrative purpose and towards characters, and I absolutely love that. And the two performers, mind you, are also wonderful. I found both of them to hold their own very well, and I really thought that they held certain the characterizations within those performances that I found distinct. The husband seems very desperate a lot of times. The wife seems a lot more willing to do certain things. Like there's clear identities for these characters. They're not one notes. They have identifying traits. And again, all this comes from Remy Wakie's screenplay as well, and of course from the very well fleshed out performances, or realized performances. But I really don't have any complaints. I mean, I really don't. I mean, really, I would say it probably starts a little early. I would say that that's probably the only thing that I would say that would be an issue, is that I feel like the events kind of happen a little early. Maybe uh, a little bit more fleshed out of a beginning would have probably been a little bit satisfying, but really that's more of a nitpick than an issue. So um, to sum it up, I mean, I have never been more terrified and quite surprised, honestly, by a piece this year than the craftsmanship put forth here in His House. It's very scary, extremely well developed, and above all else, meaningful in areas you wouldn't expect coming. And that is the mark of excellent storytelling in my book. When a story can just tell me its story and be floored by every minute of it.